Well, good morning, everyone, and we welcome you today. This is Reverend Linda and Kathy Richmond and myself are here, and we're taking a topic that I'm bringing to the subject from the Unity booklets. I find them so enriching because a lot of times I don't have time to read an in-depth book, but there's always a short article that sort of fits and I can apply into what's going on in my life that day. So the Unity booklet that I'm sharing from is Love, Healing, and Abundance. And I am sharing the writings of Frank Whitney, who was he was a dentist who went to work for Unity in 1915. And he was the one that came up with the idea of the Daily Word and began writing the magazine back in 1924 until his death in 1938. So a lot of the Daily Word magazine has his writings in it. And the one that I'm reading from today is an excerpt from the Golden Treasure of 50 Years with Daily Word. And it's his article about standing firm. And I'd like to read what he wrote back in the early 1900s. Learn to stand firm in the face of adverse situations. Stand firm in the consciousness of the power of God within you. Stand firm in the knowledge that you are mightier than any of the vexing situations of the world. Stand firm in the realization that Christ within you is mightier than adverse appearances. What is the secret of standing firm? It is in gaining the consciousness that the power of God within us cannot be affected by outer appearances. In knowing that truth, that in spirit, there is nothing to oppose us, since God is all in all. In finding within us the substance of spirit that exists like a tower of strength in the face of opposing forces. Stand firm. When a belief in disease, contagion, or weakness is voiced in your ears, stand firm in the realization that only the truth about God is eternally true, the truth of your own internal being. When adverse beliefs seem to be stronger than absolute truth, stand firm. You will be well compensated. You will be rewarded for your stand. Stand firm when it would seem that you are about to be engulfed in failure and lack. Stand firm in the consciousness of God's abundance. When money would seem to be lacking, stand firm in the truth that God's bounty is appearing when you are deluged by urgent needs. Keep standing firm. Every deluge must give way to the sun. Every need will be met. Every desire will be fulfilled. Stand firm. If falsehoods seem more powerful than truth, if the evil word seems stronger than the word of truth, keep standing firm. Even in the thought of standing firm causes us to rise to the grandeur of our divine sonship. We feel something within us that is never touched by winds of chance and caprice. There is something within us that is never changed by outer conditions, something upon which we can always rely, something telling us that it is spirit, eternal, immovable. So I really thought this was so appropriate to bring into a discussion with what's happening in the world around us today. And when you think when he wrote this almost 100 years ago, they had just come through a pandemic. They had gone through all kinds of diseases and things that were going on in the world. And the challenges that were happening 100 years ago seem to be the challenges we're facing around us today. And it sort of makes me sort of step back and say, everything moved forward. It's still going. 100 years later, things are still going. And at that time, people were probably thinking it's coming to an end. And so it helps me to stand firm in that faith that it will all come out for the best, even though when you see, the the lies and the corruption and the things that are going on, or the people that are suffering out there, that have lost so much from this COVID and everything that's happening. It gives me the hope that there is a brighter tomorrow. And so part of listening and reading this brought me to the fact of saying, in his time, this was what he wrote about. Today, somebody's probably writing something very similar about what we're facing in today's times. And it's sort of like being able to take that to heart, that even though financially you may be struggling, that will overcome, or something will come through. You've been told, dealt with an illness or a disease that you're thinking, am I ever going to get over this? And standing firm in the faith that God is all in all. He's in everything that's going on around us and within us. And I just thought I wanted to share these thoughts on this. And there's a coinciding article that goes in this booklet that was written by Reverend Ellen Davenport, who we've done some of her books, 5 Principles and Hell in the Hallway, Light at the End, Light at the Door, where she really took his words and talked about having that faith to stand firm in no matter what's happening. But it's all in our, and it's, to sum hers up, it really comes out to be, it's in that consciousness within our minds and our consciousness that we lift up there. What we put out in our thoughts, our actions, our words is the consciousness collectively happening in the universe. So by standing firm in the faith that there is a greater power behind all of this, and that when we stand in the love that this will work, it just comes to truth that we are all in one and God is within all of us. And I just think, one of the questions she posed at the end of her article in Finding the Faith, she wrote in here, and I have to throw this up. So, what will happen when we find that strength, when we live and act from our spiritual consciousness? We will become the presence of love. We will come from love and be love. No matter what is happening around us, no matter what we hear on the news or see in our own personal lives, we will stand firm as an expression of God in the midst of it. We will know the truth and rise to all the grandeur of our divinity. So I want to open this to the rest of our panel to share their thoughts on this, about standing firm in the face of what's happening in the world around us. So.
I'll comment on that. One of the things you said is we are mightier than the problems in the world. And that really, I just held on to that. I think that we are living in, well, I don't know what it was like 100 years ago, but I know what it's like now. And it feels like we're living in a world with so much chaos. So, the war that's going on and with Russia and Ukraine, and, the floodings and the people that from the virus, so many things. And we have media exposure. The minute we turn on the TV or turn on the radio, get in the car, and immediately the news is talking about it. And so I think at those times we have to stand firm within ourselves and say, if it's not something I can do about it, then I need to step away from it and think about all the positives that are going on in my life. Think about, see these poor people that have had their homes bombed out and their children, and it just touches me. But then I say, no, be grateful for my house that's not bombed, and the nice warm bed I get to go into, and having control of my thoughts, standing firm with that, and believing that all of these things have a purpose and they will work their way through. I sometimes, if I start getting negative or feeling like, oh, wow, what's going on? I just look back on my life and I think of, as a child, I've always had a forgiving heart, and I've always forgiven people, and I look at that and it just makes me fill myself with joy that that is who I am. That is who I was born into this world. And I can stand firm in saying that pretty much no matter what goes on, I have the capability to stand firm in my ability to forgive. So that's what I'd like to add.
Thank you. That was wonderful. This is a great topic. And sometimes I think you're speaking just to me when you pick out your topic. I'm very good in the beginning of having faith and seeing the big picture, but there have been times, and I'm thinking of one in particular. I had a test done at the doctor, and they called me back and said, "Oh, this doesn't look right. Come back and have another test. We need you here right away." And I went in, and then I had to wait like 4 weeks, which doesn't sound like a long time, before I got the results. And in the beginning, I knew that, they call you in over anything, and 99% of the time it's no problem. But during that wait, my thoughts went all over the place. What if it's not? And that standing firm is a wonderful affirmation. One of the ones that I use that helps me when I get wobbly is, it'll be all right in the end. If it's not all right, it's not the end. And that really helps me to remember that there's a bigger picture. Especially, Kathy, you were talking about the news and all the stuff that we see. When I remember that a lot of those newscasters and news stations, they get paid for the more people they get to watch. The more people who watch, the more money they get for advertising. So literally, there are whole entire corporations who make a fortune on keeping us afraid, on saying shock value things that will grasp our attention and get us to pay more attention and watch again tomorrow and tune in, and oh yeah, buy this toilet paper, because they're making a profit off of it. It isn't really about what's best for the people. It's about what they need to keep their program going and their their sponsors happy. So it helps me to remember that God is bigger than all of this. And just because I'm hearing it in the news doesn't mean I'm getting all the facts. And just to stand firm in my faith that we are evolving in consciousness and coming into a better, more beautiful, more loving time than humanity has ever known. So thank you. I love stand firm. I and I will, and I do my best, and it's a great reminder. Anything else before we close out? Did that bring anything up for you? Okay,
So I did want to share a little bit that it was in Ellen's article where she talked about, she hears so often that the toxic positivity or the, metaphysical malpractice where people are just like, oh, God's in charge and everything is going to be all right. And she sort of talked about is that, if we just sort of totally put it into God's hands saying, well, he's totally in charge, are we ignoring what's around us that we need to have some responsibility for? And so there is that fact, is accepting, what is truth and what is, like you said, the media trying to, create the fear and anxiety. But if standing firm when there is that fear and understanding is like, is there something I can do here to make this better? Or is it a matter that I have to put the trust into the fact that underneath all of this, that I in my human experience don't know all the answers? And that was sort of what she shared about it, is there's a point where we need to also say, is there something I need to do here to make this a better, raise my consciousness, spread that love and joy and truth, and share that truths with others. So I think that's something important too to consider when you're standing firm, is that it's not just, totally with God in charge. We have a part to play in raising and standing firm and raising that consciousness. And part of what you're saying in the media, that's how they make their money and things like that. But there's also the point of saying, if you're not going to give us the truth, then we will go elsewhere to find the truth. So it's, looking for the truth that's in the world. And there is a lot of it. So
Absolutely.
thank you.
Thank you. Yes, we always need to know what is mine to do and to take our own actions as we move forward. Wonderful reminder. Thank you. Okay, that just about ends our time together. But before I pray us out, I'd like for you to check and make sure, are you subscribed to this channel? We hope that you will comment, that you will share, that you will subscribe. I believe it will help you, and I know it helps us too. So thank you. And now let's take a time of prayer. Let's just take a breath together and go within. Father, Mother, God, we are so grateful for this opportunity to stand firm in your love and your light, knowing that you are everywhere present, that you are everywhere and bigger than any of the issues, any of the problems that cloud our mind or frighten us away from our path. God, we know when we turn within, we find you right here, nearer than our very breath. Thank you, God. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Tune in next time for something completely different. And God bless.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us, and let's stay connected and grow in spirit. We are on Facebook. Search for Unity Church of El Cajon and follow us and like our posts. You can reach us on YouTube at Unity Church of El Cajon. Please subscribe to our channel, watch our videos, and leave comments, which can help us improve. We are on the web at unityofelcajon.org. Email or call our church office to receive our weekly newsletters, which lists all of our activities and opportunities to learn and grow together.